Okay. I'm gonna get the chat box going. Okay. All right. Try to just put down what you think is the best answer. Do not worry about what the person types in before you. But anyhow, that being said, on 3, 1, 2, 3, what do we got? All right, we've got B, we've got C. I think I saw an A even flash by me. All right. All right. Which of the following indicates the presence of economies of scale as so economies of scale really doesn't have to do with the marginal cost line. As output increases, generally, you're going to see marginal cost increase. It's very unlikely that as output continues to increase, marginal cost would decrease. What is going to happen, though, and it's not it's the average total cost that decreases, that is economies of scale. So it is B as in broccoli. Now, usually they'll put total cost, and that's not correct. Okay, so two things. One, it has to be in the long run. Economies of scale is a long run phenomenon, all right? And it has to be the average total cost. The total cost will increase as output increases, but average total cost decreases, all right? And a lot of times that has to do with high fixed costs. And as you're then increasing output, your economies of scale are getting to work. All right, now, if quantitative output increases and average total cost is constant, that'd be constant scale. And then diseconomies of scale would be average total cost increasing. Okay. Anyone with a question on this? Everyone's good. Okay. All right, let us remember in the holy presence of God, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Dear God, thank you for giving us so far a good and healthy year. Thank you for everyone's patience during the virtual days, and allow everyone to have a great Christmas, healthy, be able to re-energize, see friends, see family, and do some relaxation. St. John the Baptist de La Salle, live Jesus in our hearts
Forever.
Thank you. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. All right. Here is like, I made the midterm today. I don't know, is it hard? I don't say the questions are hard. I think there's an amazing amount of content to know. So I don't think like when you go through every question, you're gonna say, wow, that's the hardest question. The thing is, like, do you know the content to answer that question? And I think there is a lot of content. I can't deny that. That being said, if you're not happy where you are and you really want to do well on the midterm, and like, that's all random. Like some people are not happy at 88, but if you're not happy where you are, I would just suggest that you spend like 15 or 20 minutes a day over the break, or at least 5 out of the 10 days over the break, and just use under the topics page, under the midterm, there's this ultimate review guide that breaks each unit down, unit by unit, and goes through all the key terms by asking you questions. And then if you scroll down, they have the answers and everything like that. So I think that's extremely helpful. I put like a review packet together with graphs and terms. If that's benefit for you, that's better. And then I have the PowerPoint of all the main graphs. Okay. if I had to focus, I'd focus on supply, demand, perfect competition, monopolies, oligopolies, and monopolistic competition, which is imperfect competition. That makes up 60% of the test. So, if that's like where, if I could get better somewhere and you got better there, you would be taking a huge chunk of the test, okay? When we come back, I will review every day, until the midterm. I think we take it on Tuesday. And I'll offer extra, I'll review in school and then I'll review outside of school, and there'll be different reviews. So trying to give you, if you want, the most exposure and the most practice that's possible. All right. I'd say if you work really hard, I think you'll improve your grade after the midterm, but it's not just going to come, All right, enough talk. Oh, I also put up today for the first time the 2 practice questions. They're for extra credit. If you take them today, I just say every day, take them and take them honestly. This is what I'm going to do is then tomorrow I'll send out the next 2 practice questions and I'll explain the answers for today. So if I got one wrong, I could read my explanation at least to understand why I got it wrong. So that in itself, if you're taking the practice questions and reading my explanations, that in itself is probably going to help you a little, because the practice questions are all AP questions and they're all legitimate questions. All right, any question on the midterm or anything like that? No, we're good. Okay. All right, I'm going to leave these 4 things up here. I'll give you a minute to look at them, and then I'll answer any questions if anyone does not remember why or what. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to look at them mentally. Okay, any one of these that someone doesn't know, wants explained, forgot?
The first one.
MRP curve is the demand curve because it tells the demand for workers is determined by how much revenue they bring in. So MRP is really how, I make 3 pizzas, that's my MP, times $10. So I'm bringing in $30 worth of revenue. That determines how much demand I have, or the demand for me in the market. That makes sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anything else that someone didn't know?
The third one.
All right, marginal factor cost is the same as marginal resource cost. So in perfect competition, it equals wage. All right. So marginal factor cost or marginal resource cost equals wage. In non-perfect competition, which we will discuss today in monopsonies, it's change in total cost over change in input. Change in total cost over change in input. Okay. I'm just going to go through, I might as well just do them all. How do you calculate MRP? Excuse me. In perfect competition, MRP equals NP times P. So NP times P. And in non-perfect competition, MRP is change in total revenue over change in inputs, change in total revenue over change in inputs. And then the profit maximizer is MRP equals MRC or MFC. They're the same thing. MRP equals MRC or MFC. Okay. Did we do this the other day? Either of the wills, did we get to this?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. If you only have $35, what combination of robots and workers will maximize your output? I'll give you a minute or two to try to think it out on your own, and then I'll come back and go through it with you. All right. I'm going to walk us kind of through this. And if you have any questions, please ask, because this type of question finds its way on things like the AP test and the midterm a lot. All right. It's the least cost rule, least cost combination. And it's usually like you're determining how many either robots or machines compared to how much labor. All right. And it's kind of like, if you remember how, you know, John had $8, how many cookies or how many bike rides or how many movies should he go to? And at that time, it'd be the marginal utility of X over the price of X would equal the marginal utility of Y over the price of Y. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to take the marginal product of P over the price of P, marginal product rather of robots over the price of robots, and we're going to try to get it to equal the marginal price of labor over the price of labor, and I call them workers, not labor. All right, so I got the marginal product that's given to me. Now I got to divide by price. So 30 divided by 10 would be 3, 20 by 10 is 2, 10 by 10 is 1. And, okay, so I got 3, 2, 1, and 50. And then I do the same thing here. 20 divided by 5 is 4, 15 divided by 5 is 3, 10 divided by 5 is 2, 5 divided by 5 is 1. All right. So I've got these. Now I got to find 4 on the worker side There is no 4 on the robot side. All right, 4 is not. I go to 3. All right, 2 workers at 3, 1 robot at 3. Well, 1 robot costs $10. 2 workers cost $10. I'm only spending $20. They gave me $35 to spend. All right, I got to check another point. I go down to 2. I've got a 2 here at 3 workers. I got a 2 here at 2 robots. All right, 2 robots times 10. I'm going to spend 20. Three workers times 5. I'm going to spend 15. 20 and 15 is 35. I spent the money they want me to. So it's 2 robots, 3 workers. That's going to maximize my productivity. Any questions? Either put them in the chat or just turn on your mic and yell out.
Can you just go over the last part again? I got where like I got like where what you put in the columns, but I didn't get like how from those numbers you determined how many of each one you want to hire.
So you got like how we got 4, 3, 2, and 1, right?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay. So now I'm trying to match them up because they got to. Hold it. Let me just get this off the top. You see where MXP over PX equals M. So they got to equal each other, right? So I looked at where 3 equals 3. But there I'm spending $10 on robots and only $10 on workers. How did I get the 10? 1 robot times $10 and 2 workers times 5. So I'm only spending $20. So I'm looking now for the next number where they equal each other. And that would be 2 equals 2. And now 2 robots times 10 is 20. And 3 workers times 5 is 15. And I've spent my money. Did that help you at all?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. I will try to use a least cost combination. I will remember to review this when we come back again. And at least find maybe as one of those extra credit questions, least cost combination one. All right. Couple of quick multiple choice questions. Here we go. Give you a minute. Go. Okay. I'm going to get the chat box up. I'll count down. When I count down, just knock in what you think's the right answer. 1, 2, 3. Oof. You guys knocked them in so fast I couldn't even see them. The law of diminishing marginal returns would say as firms hire additional workers, B, at first they'd rise initially, but eventually fall. They're eventually going to fall because of fixed costs. When you see fixed, you know it's the law of diminishing marginal returns. You also know it's in the short run because we don't have fixed cost in the long run. All right. So the drill was the economies of scale, which is a long run. This is a fixed amount, which is a short run, which is the law of diminishing marginal returns. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's try this one. Okay, let's see where we stand here. I'll count it out. 1, 2, 3, go. Got a lot of dogwood. All right. Remember the formula is the marginal product of labor over the price of labor equal the marginal product of capital over the price of capital. And when they equal each other, it's going to come out to, you know, something like we had last time, 2 equals 2. It's not going to come out to 0. A lot of people had 0. The marginal product of labor is equal to the marginal product of capital. People had B. That's not true. It's the marginal product of labor over the price of labor is equal to the marginal product of capital over the price of capital, which is why the marginal product per dollar spent on labor and A as an alpha. Any questions? Because we were all over on this one. Does everyone understand why it's A? Do you want me to just go over why it was A or why it wasn't B and D?
Can you like go over why it wasn't the other two again and then why it's A?
Okay. So like in the last, when we did this, it came out to the marginal product of robots was 2, and it equaled the marginal product of labor, which is 2. It was 2 equal 2. It didn't come to 0. The marginal product of labor capital are both 0. They weren't 0. And they're not going to be 0. They're going to be some number like 2 or 3 or 4 or something like that. The marginal product of labor is equal to the marginal product of capital is not true. It's the marginal product of labor. And again, the marginal product of labor is equal to marginal product is not true in that it doesn't give you the best optimal combination, because you got to take in the cost of these things, okay? And that's why the marginal product per dollar, which is the marginal product of labor over the price of labor, is equal to the marginal product of capital over the price of capital. Did that help?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, last topic of the year, monopsonies. Yes, what is a monopsony? There it is. It's a monopoly of the labor market. You're a doctor and a nurse, and there's one hospital within 100 miles. You're the only factory in a small town. You're Walmart in a small southern town. You monopolize the labor market, okay? Now, think about how monopolies take advantage of the product market. Monopsonies are going to try to do that in the labor market, okay? And I'm going to just give you the characteristics. And if you have the notes, I think I just printed in these characteristics. Well, perfect competition, many small firms, no one firm could do anything, okay? Many workers with identical skills. What do I mean? Me and Will might have different skills, but the skills needed for the job we both have. All right, wage is constant. That's why MRC equals wage. That's why we're wage takers. That's why wage supply MRC is perfectly elastic. Okay. And then you have a monopsony. Only one firm, like a monopoly. Workers are relatively immobile, so they're stuck working in like that small town. They are wage makers, like monopolies are price makers. All right, and here's my great examples. Might not be so great. The Midwest small town with a large factory. You know, for your history people, if you remember the railroad towns, I think the Pullman town, like those are kind of monopsonies. Okay, now, like a monopoly, which has to lower its price to get more people to try its product, monopsonies have to hire wages. So say this Acme coal mine, they offer jobs at $4.50 an hour. They still only got one worker. So they had to go to 5 for 2, $5.50 for 3, and so on. Now, remember, wage equals MRC in perfect competition, but not so here. Now, how did I figure out the resource cost? It's change in total cost over change in input. So 450 minus 0 is 450. Then for the second worker, the total cost is $10 minus 450 is 550. Then for the third worker, the total cost is 1650 minus 10 is 650. And that just goes on. But I just wanted to show you. So the key you need to see is wage in a monopsony, which is the supply curve, does not equal the marginal resource curve. Okay? So when I'm graphing this, where am I going to put this? There we go. Okay. Now, here's where I'm going to ask you. What's the quantity of workers this monopsony is going to hire? How on the graph am I going to find the quantity of workers this monopsony is going to hire? Could someone raise their virtual hand if they feel they have it? Or turn on your mic and just tell me. No one?
Would it be where the MRC equals MRP?
Yeah. All right, great. Where MRC equals MRP. And there's your quantity. Now, what is the wage am I going to pay them? Anyone for the wage?
You're probably gonna pay down to the SL and then go across.
All right, excellent. Down to the SL and go across. Where a monopoly would go up to demand and take advantage price-wise, they're going down to the supply. So there you are. Now, there is going to be a question. You got to just remember to go down to supply. At this level, notice the firm would like to hire more workers, right? The demand for workers is over there. But there's just not enough workers at that wage. Okay? So they go on. All right, any questions about this? All right. Just take a second and look at wage and quantity of labor. All right, I'll count out to 3 and you guys could then type in the wage. 1, 2, 3. What's the wage? Okay, everyone's good. All right, I went to MRC and MRP. I took it down to supply and got 9. And then the quantity I would continue down to get Q2. All right. Will the Thrill has come to this town as a union lawyer and said, there is no way in the world we should only be getting $9. We're going to strike to get what's the highest wage Will could negotiate for without losing any jobs. The highest wage Will could negotiate for without losing any jobs. You could either turn on your mic, raise your virtual hand, or chat in what you think is the answer.
Is it 10?
He actually could get higher.
Really? 12?
He could get 12, because at 12, where MRC equals MRP, you're still getting Q2 amount of workers. So you can negotiate up to where MRC equals MRP. Okay? Everyone understand that? Thrill, are you there?
I'm here, Mr. Bressler.
Great job. You're a great union leader.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thrill, normally, what happens when the government institutes a minimum wage? Meaning, are more people employed, less people employed, or the same amount? A binding minimum wage.
If it's binding, more people are employed.
No, is that true?
Wait, let me draw this blind man.
Okay.
Oh, if it's binding, fewer people are employed because the equilibrium quantity that that firms are demanding from the suppliers of labor, so like workers, is actually lower.
Right, okay. So I just wanted you to make that point. Now, here we go. Because Joe comes into town as mayor and puts in a minimum wage here of $10 an hour. And by the way, the electorate very happy with Joe. Now, it's $10 an hour. Is the Monopsony going to pay anyone over 10? No, they're mad that they have to pay 10. Are they going to pay anyone under 10? No, it's against the law. So 10 is the wage. So 10 is now actually the MRC. If I draw the 10 over until it hits the MRP, what happened to quantity with this new minimum wage? The quantity of workers increased. And the reason is because you got more people willing to work at that higher wage and the firm needed them. Monopsony is like the only market where a binding minimum wage increases the number of workers. So let's do a quick recap. MRC equals MRP down to supply. That is your normal wage, right? $9. Q2. You can negotiate as a union up to where MRC equals MRP without losing any jobs. And then the third thing is the minimum wage. I mean, I put it at 10, but here, let me, if I could see the marker, I would draw another one. This thing is not, but even if I drew it like at 9, it's like if I drew it at kind of 950, you know, and it would stop here because that would be how much the supply of labor would be, you know, even though the demand would be greater, it still would be greater than Q2. All right. So what do we need to know? We need to know MRC equals MRP down to supply. We need to know that the minimum wage increases quantity, and we would need to know how high you can negotiate as a union leader. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions? Okay. All right. So I will end with, I truly, truly appreciate how you guys have been these 3 days virtually. I appreciate how you've been all year. I would say this group of 82 has done more redos, came to more reviews, watched more videos than any class I ever had. I am not a very positive person, and I understand that, but I hope somewhere you realize how grateful and appreciative I am of you. I wish you all a Merry, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and have a great, great 10 days off. Okay? Take care, guys. I look forward to seeing you next year.
Thank you, Mr.
Merry
Bressler.
Christmas.
Thank you, Mr. Ressler.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Ressler.
Merry Christmas.